Welcome to today's edition of Crypto Corner at InvestorIdeas.com. News on what's driving the cryptocurrency market. Hey everyone, this is Sam Mowers here. Welcome to a special edition of the Crypto Corner podcast featuring an interview with Stephen Bumbera. He's the COO of the Many Worlds token. Many Worlds is an innovative DeFi token built on the Binance Smart Chain network. Stephen and I discussed the genesis of the project, the features of the token, as well as its highly successful pre-sale. For more information on Many Worlds, check out its website at ManyWorldsToken.com, where you'll also be able to find its white paper, which is mentioned in the interview. Now, just before I cue the interview, a quick reminder that if you enjoy this podcast, please feel free to share it or leave us a review. And as always, I recommend checking out some of the other podcasts on InvestorIdeas.com. This includes the Cannabis Podcast, the Clean Tech and Climate Change Podcast, as well as many others, all of which will bring you up to speed on the latest stock news and trends in their respective spaces. Now, without further ado, here is my conversation with Stephen Bumbera. Maybe to start off with, do you want to just give us a bit of background for yourself, sort of your position in the company, how you got into the space, that sort of thing?
Sure. So I'm Steve Bumbera. I was in the Marine Corps for 5 years. I did signals intelligence and electronic warfare. Found my way into investment banking and fell in love with markets, just any sort of markets. I was pretty against crypto, to be honest. There was that,
Yeah.
that problem of intrinsic value.
Yes.
Really shook me to the core, but as I dove deeper and deeper into the space, I realized, there's as much intrinsic value in a non-profitable company as there is a non-profitable token. And it's really dependent on the project, the team, and what they can deliver. So that made me fall in love with the possibilities of what can be done. And here I am to stay forever.
Awesome. So Many Worlds, it's a DeFi token built on the Binance Smart Chain network. It says on your website that it's designed to overcome fundamental flaws in traditional rewards-based tokens. Maybe to kick things off, and before we get into just what the token does, could you tell us how and sort of when the project itself came about, and maybe get into some of these fundamental flaws you guys see in say, its predecessors?
Sure. So we all met on a different project. We weren't the dev team on the project, but that's where we met. We liked the idea and we decided to try to help it. Eventually, our support and what the dev team was doing was no longer aligned. So we decided it was time to just go make our own project. Evergrow is actually who started the BUSD rewards, these stable coin rewards. And that was a fascinating concept. It's basically the dividends of the crypto space.
Mm-hmm.
However, it comes at a very, very heavy cost. And that is one of the fatal flaws. In order to get these BUSD rewards, these stablecoin rewards, what they do is they charge you a 14% tax to purchase the token, and then a 14% tax to sell the token. A break-even trade, you're down 30% on a break-even trade. That is madness. And that problem is a huge barrier to entry, right? So first you have to pay this massive tax up front, then this massive tax out the back. And as the project scales and becomes more and more expensive of a token, the less and less tokens you can get, especially after taxes. That's not including your government taxes either, right? So you could be walking away somewhere down 50% on a break-even trade. So these rewards sound less and less enticing when you actually start to crunch the numbers. We fixed that with something really interesting that's never been done in the crypto space before. And it's what we're coining dynamic tokenomics.
Okay.
Now, we are able to make it so that your token, a token that you own, has a different intrinsic value than a different token than you own. So for instance, if you were to purchase one Ethereum and a week later you purchase another Ethereum, the only difference between those two Ethereum is that you bought them for a different price. but intrinsically it's the same thing. It's an Ethereum. With our project, every token that you purchase begins to age the moment you purchase it. As the token gets older, it gains levels. And with each level, it interacts with the smart contract differently than the preceding level. So each token, dependent on how long it has existed in your wallet, actually determines its intrinsic value and what it's worth in terms of the smart contract. So that allows us to give these stable coin rewards, but instead of a 14% tax, it's a 3% tax. And on the sales side, the sales taxes, those also differ. Depending on how long you've been holding, depends on the taxes that you pay when you sell. So it really creates this interesting environment and opens up a whole new door in the crypto space, because in most of the world, fixed taxes don't really work. That's why marginal tax systems are largely used across the world.
Mm-hmm.
And we just created marginal taxation in crypto.
Yeah. So yeah, and there is a lot to cover on with respect to the various features of the token. Like you mentioned, the aging and leveling system. Could you talk a bit about the lottery feature and how that works?
Yeah. So every time that you purchase a token, it counts as an entry toward the daily lottery, sweepstakes, whatever it's coined as. We're still in the early stages of branding and choosing
Yeah.
names, but yeah. So if you purchase on the day, then within a 24-hour period, 10 winners are selected. If you bought that day, you could win. And as volume increases, that gets kind of crazy, because on enough volume, you can have 10 winners winning $100,000 per person, and you only bought $1 worth of tokens. So it's a really cool feature. And one of the reasons we have that feature is another fundamental flaw in rewards-based tokens. They rely heavily on marketing. You have to spend all of your money on marketing, because the only way that this works is by generating volume. And if you have this big barrier to entry, you just kicked out day traders and swing traders. The only people buying your token are buying it for the long run.
Yeah, the hodlers and so on. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as the price goes up, then the hodlers get less and less and less.
Yeah.
So you need those day traders, you need those swing traders, and having a low buy tax plus a daily lottery feature, it makes it a really interesting tradable asset.
So now that we've gotten a bit of an idea about the token itself, could you talk a bit about its launch? Because as I understand it, it debuted with some pretty serious business.
Yeah, I am still mind blown
Yeah.
about our pre-sale. We started this project, and at that point, there were around 300 members in the Discord. Uh, that's it. We had about 300 people in the Discord. We showed everyone. Well, that's the crazy part. Nobody knew what we were doing. All they knew was the team. They knew us from the work that we've done before,
Mm-hmm.
and they said, "I don't know what these guys are doing, but it's probably going to be good." So
Yeah.
everyone got ready, and it wasn't until 2 days before that pre-sale that we dropped the bomb of everything that we're doing. We dropped the white paper, we dropped everything 2 days before the pre-sale. I couldn't believe it. 1,260 BNB total. We sold out the entire pre-sale in 3 hours. And Evergrow is something we like to compare ourselves to, because that was kind of the original BUSD reward system.
Mm-hmm.
They broke records by selling 450 BNB in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
We sold 450 BNB in under 2 minutes, and then continued to sell another 800 or so within those 3 hours. Mind
Okay.
numbing
So you
with
left them in the
300
dust.
people.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 Wow. Okay.
To this day, we have only around 1,000 community members. I mean, we are very unknown at this stage, which is incredibly exciting.
Yeah. Okay, well, so that's all I have for questions. Is there anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
You know, honestly, no. I think we talked about just about everything. If anyone is interested in learning more, dive into the white paper, check out the community over on Discord. Uh, Very helpful people. And I'm just excited for the metaverse and what's about to come, because we didn't really talk about the utility, so you can get a ton of that in the white paper.
In the white paper. Perfect. Okay, we'll link to that in the show notes. Stephen, thanks so much for coming on. I appreciated the chat, and yeah, it sounds like a really exciting project. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
That does it for today's Crypto Corner. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor for this podcast, contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products, services, or securities. Investors are reminded all investment involves risk and possible loss in investment. To hear more InvestorIdeas.com podcasts, please visit InvestorIdeas.com/audio. And a reminder, you can also hear our podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and most audio platforms available.